Has anybody you have stopped to wonder about yourself? Where does my confidence come from? Or why does that person look so egoistical? Or how are they so full of themselves? Or why they always think about themselves? And I would like to say that because they have something that we call an ego. And I would like to be presenting for today. Hello everybody, hello ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good evening, almost good night. My name is Axel and I would like to be your presenter today for the topic of whether is high ego necessarily bad. Well, and I would like to, in this presentation, I would like to prove some of your misconceptions false and to change your views on how you see an egoistical person. Before we officially start this presentation, I would like to give a brief rundown of what I'll be talking about today. Firstly is the definition of the phrases that I'll be using today. Secondly is how people perceive high ego and high egoistical person. Thirdly, the benefits of how setting your high ego can bring. Second to last is how could you control this ego and how could you keep it from not going way too high ego. And finally, the conclusion as always. Okay, so definition. Ego. What is ego? Ego, or the portion, or defined by the Cambridge Dictionary, is the human personality which is experiencing the self or I, quote unquote, and is in the contact with external world to perception. Ego. There's two main types: high ego and low ego. High ego, which will be the one that I'm talking mainly about today. High ego is the perceived. A high ego is when a person they are perceived to be so full of their own importance and think that they are better than the others, said by the Cambridge Dictionary. So now, secondly, how does people actually perceive high ego? Firstly, the public or anything else and the people perceive it as an arrogant and narcissistic person who always think about themselves and think that they are the best and they are all superior compared to every single other person on this planet. And secondly is they are very domineering and controlling when working in groups, as they feel that they are the best person in the world. They are the best leader in the world. They tend to they may tend to even take over the operation and make it so that it follows their ideas and so that they are better and they will control everything. And that thirdly is they are insensitive and disrespectful. Because of their personality of always thinking about themselves, they cannot think about others. They cannot think what others experience. They cannot care for the other's emotion. So that is why they are they have a lack of empathy. And they also can disrespect other people's and they do not give a lot of care about to other people's emotions and how they feel about the problem. And thirdly, they are seen as a quote-unquote trustworthy and unreliable person, as most of them only care about themselves and does not care about any of the responsibilities of the group. They can also be a very unreliable person. Well, this is how to just take example, Donald Trump. He's a very popular politician. Everybody knows him. He is confident, he is strong, and he is rich. But his ego is also very big, to the point that if something doesn't come across his mind or if something doesn't apply his orders, he will neglect it or he will have punishment for them. Just take example, a football team of America, they won an international cup. But because they did not follow how Donald Trump intended for them to sing the national anthem, they were kicked out. They were not accepted to go and to stay in the White House. And that is how a person of a high ego of Donald Trump it really is. So, what are the benefits of setting your ego high? Firstly, is the most relevant one is that you can get self-motivation. Why and how? Firstly, by having a high ego, you think a lot about yourself. You think that you are better because this can be a fuel and this can strive you for success. By thinking you are better, you are actively trying to prove you are better. And this makes so that a high egoistical person, they just keep moving and just keep working and working until that they prove that they're better. They are willingness to go an extra mile just to prove them to the others that they are far superior and they are smarter, better, or even stronger than the other person. Another thing is that self-esteem or self-belief. Self-esteem or self-belief. By having the high ego high, they believe in themselves. They have every single belief. They want every single belief in the world to be about themselves. So they have very high self-esteem. They think all of them is about themselves only and themselves only, not any other person but themselves. They think that they are the most important. They think that they are the best, and they believe in themselves that way forever. And the thirdly is the most important thing that I have already mentioned, confidence. By having a high ego, you have a lot of confidence built up already by the fact that you are better. Because you're better, you are confident than all the others as how you perceive it as a high egoistical person. So how do you actually control this ego so that it doesn't get out of hand? Well, firstly, you must set yourself that you do not compare anything to the others. By not comparing, by not comparing, you are actually giving your ego some time to think and to put all the attention towards yourself. Comparing is a thing that our ego always does. But it can be as in the form of comparing past achievement, of comparing our performance in the job or grades in the school. Most of the time we fall short because our ego will punish us, make it think that we are useless. By not doing so, we shift our attention to ourselves. Shift only caring about ourselves, making us having a reasonable enough level of ego, not going way too high or not being way too feeling desperate or feeling sad about it. And secondly is to put yourself in the position where you are ready to learn. By doing this, you can have more you can take in more knowledge from the world and take it from other people. You can learn it from them. But first, you will be feeling kind of uncomfortable by doing so if you were to have a high ego. But there's no worry needed because this is just a defensive mechanism, quote unquote, that your ego puts up when your deeply held assumptions are challenged. In this case, it's the assumption that you are better than everybody and that you do not need to learn from them. By participating in activity of learning from other people, you can be more comfortable by doing so and having your ego at a lower point, making a way too high ego. So, in conclusion, ego is a double-edged sword and it can be a tool. But what do all tools need? They need balancing. And because they need balancing, so let's be confidence without arrogance and humility without self-doubt. Because with that way, we can control the titan, quote unquote, within us and build a world where ego does not control us, but we control our ego to help with our daily and to help with our confidence. Thank you.